education, Laurie Kilmartin.
Shall we have a conversation, Laurie Kilmartin?
Let's. Well, your background is astonishing. Where are you?
It is astonishing. I am in the Denver, Colorado Comedy Works South condo.
Woo!
Wow.
The comedy club, the only one that I'm staying at a condo anymore. And when I first, it took me 21 years to get into this club, and I got into it about 5 or 6 years ago, and they said there's a condo, and I was like, I really want to go to this club. If I don't like it, I'll just get myself a hotel.
Right.
So, and everybody around me was like, no, it's different. It's different. And it is different in the fact that it is cleaned within an inch of its life.
Nice.
And it is also decorated like the acclaimed sitcom Silver Spoons.
Jackie, it has taken me 33 years to get in that club. I mean, I'm on my 33rd year of not working.
I am talking you up like nobody's business. The thing is, Wendy
that.
would freaking love you, man.
I don't know. But
This is an interesting view. Let's not use this as a clip.
okay. Exactly. I mean, you know what? I love to be loved, and so sorry, I'm readjusting. Because I'm looking down, and that's a very unflattering angle. No one, even Wendy, would like that
Right.
that POV. Okay, so I'm putting the iPad on a bunch of books. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, go.
Okay. And so I'm working with this guy, Troy. It's Walker, I believe. And yes,
Sounds
Troy
familiar.
Walker. He's great.
Yeah.
He's one of the up and coming younger guys, and
Local guy.
he's from Denver, but he lives in Los Angeles. He was telling me he was over at Brian Cook's house. Brian Cook, another one of the younger guys, but they're comics, but they're also writer guys, right?
Yeah.
And Brian Cook he's like, to some extent like you, except for he doesn't
Kimmel.
write. I don't know where. Does he write for Kimmel?
Brian
Brian Cook?
from the Virgil? Brian.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
You're right. Okay,
Yeah.
because and he recommended, I think, Troy for the Kimmel gig, and I think he got a Kimmel gig, but he's featuring for me this week. And let's talk about stand-up. It's excellent.
Yay.
His stand-up is really funny, and he was over at Brian's. Brian Cook lives in my neighborhood. Have I been invited to Brian Cook's backyard to have an indoor dining room table in a backyard, like he's a road comic from the 90s? He doesn't have yard furniture from the
Wait, hold on. The story, you're implying that Brian is having tons of cookouts and just not inviting you, or I don't know what's happening.
That's one of them. That's one of the things I'm implying. Yeah, it's
you imply 7 evil things per sentence, and that's why people can listen to this podcast over and over again and see how angry you are.
Right. This does have replayability. That's right. It's very important in video games, and it turns out in podcasts.
Yeah.
So speaking of podcasts, Andy Ashcraft, my loved one, has a podcast because hell has frozen over. But there's like 10 episodes out, and he's doing a podcast. He designs games, right? Game designer. And his buddy is a philosophy professor. And so they are doing a podcast called Ethics and Video Games.
That's so cool.
It is astounding. I don't listen to podcasts myself, but hearing about how great, like the conversations, like they're talking about, not just the way one of the ones he did was about murder, like how you can murder people in a video game. You're a soldier and you're killing, not just killing, but like sort of in The Sims, the video game of The Sims, you can kill your family. You can trap them in an empty swimming pool and they will starve to death. And so it leads to a philosophical conversation about
empty swimming pools. What the fuck? Fill those things with water, please. Who has an empty swimming pool? What kind
to the heart of it. right to the heart of it. Yes.
I know what the
That's
real
very
problem
important.
is.
Mm-hmm. So you've bathed. Good for you.
I'm fresh out of the shower. Um, uh, I haven't had any, I had a Zoom set on Monday and I missed it. We're on hiatus this week, which means I'm barely tethered to planet Earth. I'm just
Right.
floating all over the place. And even though I tweeted about it on like 6 p.m. on Monday, somehow I forgot. And I dropped my kid off to water polo, and then I was like, I'm free. I'm not working. So I stopped. Here's how I handle my freedom, which I didn't really have because I actually had to go do a show immediately. I went to Sprouts and bought food.
Like I'm going to go to a grocery store like a person.
And then around 8 o'clock, I was like headed home. I'm like, oh my God, fuck the show.
Did you get in?
No, when the time I logged on, it was over. So I felt really bad. So there was I just didn't show up. I felt awful. And then I feel awful when I miss shows. I'm not like, I don't blow that off. Yeah. And so I have one tonight at the Improv. I have my first improv show back.
Live set at the Improv.
It's Karuna. Yeah, I'm on the 8 p.m. I have an 8:30 spot, and that means I can hang out for a little bit and watch some more people, or leave. It depends, But I think I'll probably hang out. It'll be nice to be out. And nice to get a comedy club again.
Right.
I
wish upon you people that you want to see.
Oh yeah, there are some people I want to see, and there's someone I don't know that I am excited to see. So.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes,
that is exciting. The shows here have been going amazing. They've been going really great, and the room seats probably, I don't know, I think it seats 300, and so they're at 150 maybe.
Okay.
Actually all of those numbers sound wrong, whatever, but they're at like 50% capacity. And the way they have it set up, it sounds great. Like the audio is awesome, and I can see some people and not see other people, just like a regular club, and like pre-COVID, and so the material's working really well. I'm still working on the order. I forgot to do something. I forgot to do a big chunk on Thursday. Did another chunk. Have made some decisions about some stuff I'm not going to put on the album. Just going to bail on. It's not in stone, but like they're 4 years old, and the stories there's trouble, and I've written some new stuff, and so But my dad chunk is it's got he called me with a new story a couple of weeks ago, and it's the perfect story to bring two stories together.
Oh, great. That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Dad's helping out.
Yeah. And so other than that, so my Portland got pushed because George Lopez is more famous than I am, and maybe can sell out more shows. So he
did have a late night show, and he's quite famous.
Huge. He's quite famous. I don't begrudge any of that. It's that's fine. But I was just like, well, if you can't get me another weekend before I record. I think I sulked pretty hard about it for 2 days, by the way, because I was.
Let me check my text from you. Scroll. Yeah, you fucking sulked hard, honey.
I did sulk hard because I'm worried about every set, right?
Sure, I get it. You want them off.
So they can't get me in before the recording of the album. So I'm trying to figure out a different Portland date, maybe, or just other dates, and just film a June and early July, and we'll see. But I was so I was sulking so hard that it took me literally a day and a half to realize I'm in a club that took me forever to get into, having the time of my goddamn life on stage. So it doesn't mean that I can't be sad that this thing has moved, but Jesus Christ, get out of the gravy boat of pity. And
it's don't be hard on yourself. You're allowed to be mad when a week moves and not in a good way, not in a way that's favorable. Yeah.
Yeah. So
two things can exist at the same time. And you called me after your set and after you were so mad all day, and then you called me, you're like, comedy fixes everything, and you sounded like a different person. So it's true.
I was a different person. Oh my gosh, I was such a different person.
Did you bring merch? Are you selling merch?
I can't. I'm almost sold out.
Okay.
And there's 2 more shows tonight because it's Saturday. And
were you sold out before this week? You didn't bring any to the club, or?
No, I sold half of it on Thursday, and I sold almost the rest of it last night.
Fuck. So when you're talking to people, what's happening? Is it just like before, or are they far away from you, or are they masked at that point? Are you?
We're all masked at that point. And when they ask me if they want a photo, I always say vaccinated, and they say vaccinated, and then we take off our masks if they want us to, and then we snap a shot. And I got that Venmo thing where you can point a camera at my URL or a QR code, and but most people are I'm just swiping cards mostly.
Yeah.
So though there is some cash happening, which is nice. And my father will be very pleased because the challenge coins are going really well. So because I think of the new bit in the middle that brings it all together.
Yeah, I love it.
Because the bits finally work. And then last night, first show, they streamed it. So it was also being filmed for streaming. You could buy streaming tickets.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that was in the contract. I'm sure I must have missed that. But here's the good news is that someone was, at the club, they have club cameras, and it's usually just a wide shot. Mm-hmm. But the streaming, there were 2 other cameras that had close-up shots. So I'm hoping to get a copy of that for clips.
Oh, neat. Yes.
Yeah. And
that's great.
And then I've been recording the shows, and I've listened to 2 of them from the last 2 weekends. But I haven't listened to all of them, but it's been very helpful actually. So yesterday productivity was down because they have a tabletop video game in this. It's literally,
wow.
And it has in it all of the Nintendo, like I played Mario Brothers. Productivity was down yesterday. Let's just say that. I plugged it in.
Ron Funches would say it was up.
Right, except for I wasn't streaming, and so Zach's on, and they've got everything. It's Galaga, it's lovely, and but this the wall behind me, all of those fake mounted animals, are next to a framed newspaper article, a rhino poacher killed by elephant and eaten by lions. It's a big article. And they're like, hey, it's a warning to us all, a cautionary tale. It's well,
good. I love animals attacking. I'm on next door right now defending coyotes, so you know what,
they were here first, man. They were here first.
Just keep me away from mountain lions, that's all I ask. But coyotes can roam free. They don't harm humans at all. They're very shy.
That feels like a raised in California kind of statement. Keep me away from mountain lions.
Yeah,
but absolutely. There isn't anything in Wisconsin that'll kill you besides the people.
Didn't there used to be panthers and things like that?
In Wisconsin? No,
I don't know.
There might have been wolves.
In North America, for sure.
There might have been timber wolves, but
that's a completely different species. Of course, there were wolves. I think there was a big cat. Of course, there was a big cat in Wisconsin.
No.
I think they stopped. Yes, I'm guessing there was some kind of panther in Wisconsin before white people ruined everything.
I believe that there might have been bobcats. I don't think that Wisconsin is Andy and I were walking in the woods when I first took him to Wisconsin to give him the Norman Rockwell tour of South Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. And he was like, are there snakes? And I said, there aren't even any snakes that'll kill you in Wisconsin. And he's like, well, that can't possibly be true.
Yes.
And
we're both onto you. You just make things up about nature without even looking them up. Okay. There's no snakes that can kill you in Wisconsin, really. Okay.
Wisconsin means well. Oh, that's what I'm saying is the wild animals they're fine. They've you're gonna run into a garden snake. Actually, he ended up looking it up and there is some fucking snake that'll kill you. But
But that didn't change your opinion.
No, it didn't. It's not like we live in Australia. Australia, you can't walk out the door, it wants to kill you. There's an animal that wants to really murder you. So yeah. Other than that, I'm supposed to the merch is going, the sets are going well. I'm starting to get used to how many people are around. And everybody keeps talking about how different LA, like everywhere else is kind of open.
Yeah.
There's masks and LA is not, right? And I was like, I kind of like it that it's not.
We could take our time. June 15th is a full open for everybody, I guess.
Okay, well that feels better. That feels fine.
Yeah. I threw a pool party, an impromptu. I said on a Wednesday, I texted a bunch of female comics and said, "Does anyone want to come over tomorrow at 2?" And I think we had like eight people. And
that's fine. And it wasn't the 30 odd people that were at our show last week.
No, it was very manageable. I promised nothing but leftover drinks from the comedy show. So LaCroix and some beer that I guess I'm not a great beer buyer. No one likes the beer I bought. Oh, well.
Or people were driving. Because and then one of the fans brought that the baby, like it was like a Kool-Aid, but it had like 30% liquor. What the hell was that stuff?
It was wine cooler. A wine cooler.
Yeah, it was like a wine cooler, but it didn't look like any wine cooler I had ever seen. But because it was like, I think it was, they didn't look like, how like wine coolers back in the 80s were sort of more sparkling water with just a hint of color. And it was sort of a white wine spritzer. These looked like literally a Jones cherry soda. Yeah. That also had cocaine in it. I mean, it looked like it was so powerful as a booze.
All I know, wine coolers, I just remember headliners making fun of them and making fun of people that would order them. And they're like, "Oh, yuppie with your wine cooler." Like that take immediately took hold, and I just stayed away from wine coolers.
Right. You were browbeaten by the material into not liking it.
I'm very, peer pressure really gets to me. You'd be surprised. But it was cool. And so we just all hung out and kind of talked comedy and not comedy and gossip and different comics from different generations mingling together. Maybe I'll open it up to male comics soon, but it's nice to feel like you can be at a swimsuit without being judged or whatever. You know what I mean? So that was okay.
Maybe that's what Brian Cook is thinking. He's just only inviting men over so that he can be in a swimsuit.
You are really pissed about this.
I
can't believe you brought it back. Wow.
I brought it back because I have to tell you that Brian Cook told me, he was on the Dork Forest probably 3 years ago. And he was like, "I'm not coming to the Valley." And then about 6 months ago, he bought a house a half a mile from me.
Hilarious. Yeah. They always succumb. They always fall, don't they?
Yeah. It's, we'll see.
He's got the last laugh.
But because he was asking me about good places to eat, and he found a couple of places that I hadn't heard about, and I've lived there forever. But he also found a couple of good places that I was like, yeah, those are good places. But there's so many great places in Los Angeles. Like every strip mall has the potential to have some weird, great hidden jewel.
Sure. So, I'm not a big restaurant, but you know what? I'm changing, Jackie. My personality is changing. I've thrown 2 parties already.
Exactly.
And I'm just trying to branch out a little bit. I have to issue an apology.
Oh.
Because last week I did Renee Percy's show at the Comedy Chateau.
Well, that's right.
And by the way, I have to remind myself it's not chapeau. I don't know why I want to call it the hat, the comedy hat, but I do.
First of all, I want there to be a comedy club named the Comedy Hat. Go ahead.
Oh, yes. But you know what? I refer to it as a bringer, which to me, that's a catch-all word for anyone who invites someone to a comedy show. Like I actually threw one, a week and a half ago, but it does have a negative connotation. And
Yeah.
she just let me know very politely and not asking for a retraction that that's not what she was doing. And I think the reason I was so excited, like thrilled, was like everyone was so funny, and probably it wasn't a bringer, and that's why. Anyway, she does great classes, obviously, because the acts that she had up there, they're really good, and it was a fun show. And I just would like to correct that, because I don't want to harm anyone's business, especially when they work really hard to avoid that word. And I wasn't aware that it. The connotation it had at some point.
It did. Yeah, it has but what you did, what I got the sense is that it was full of people that weren't comics that you were excited to perform for.
That might have been it. Yeah, exactly.
So what she did was she ended up filling the room and it wasn't a bringer. So good for her.
Yes, great show, fun crowd, excited to be there, not harangued to join a Zoom. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was very, very fun at Renee's show. And then the other thing, did you see, you saw that Seth Rogen comment that blew up the world about how some jokes don't age well.
Oh, right. You posted it. And
for some reason that was controversial. I'm just baffled by this idea, that everything ages. There's jokes in Shakespeare that have to be explained by an English teacher because you don't fucking get them, right?
Yeah. Have you ever read Chaucer? Holy shit!
I haven't.
I'm gonna say this. It holds up. It's hit and miss. You know what? I'm looking at Kyle because he has some sort of English degree, and so
perfectly described.
But everything, like if you watch a movie, that's one of the first questions anybody says. Hey, does it hold up? I loved Ghostbusters. Does it hold up? I loved War Games. Does it hold up? And so why wouldn't that be the same for jokes?
It is. And it's so weirdly macho and proud to not accept that. And I don't
like you've written some sort of gem that is timeless, and you're like, hey man, keep writing.
Like Brian Regan has bits that are timeless because they are about experiences with they're almost like childhood experiences. But even those, at some point, he'll use a reference like some sort of toy that won't exist in a few years, and it won't be timeless. And you have to go, we used to play with those things, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't even have to be a commentary about race or gender. That's not going to work any longer.
It's the whole thing.
Yes. Yeah. It's of comedy. The best comedy is of the moment. That's why crowd work, it works so well. But if you were to just read it on paper, it's not going to be that funny because you weren't there. So the best comedy works only at that point, at that time, at the comedy club, right? And then
which is why posting clips of crowd work and someone saying some nightmarish thing, that's why people cry out, oh, context, and you're like, but there's still a place that you go to, and if that place involves some sort of racial slur, you shouldn't go there.
Or you just go, that's my comedy, and if you don't like it, you don't have to go see it. I mean, if people want to do that, Hinchcliffe and all those guys, this is what I do, and fuck you. That's fine too. You can just carve out your little ugly corner of the world and make enough money to live, and that's okay. And there's other comics
No, I'm just gonna say, it's sort of like Swing Heil. Did you ever see Swing Time? Anyway, so it's it's not good. It's about swing dancing.
I didn't say it was good. I just said it doesn't have
No,
to
I meant
affect you.
I meant the movie. No,
No, but
you're just speaking about in general that it's something that can exist and
and
you
it
can't
will.
stop it. And
And
so
and it doesn't have to.
it's what it is. Yeah.
It is, and it doesn't have to affect what you're going to do and the audience that you're going to find.
Yeah.
I mean, in a different sense, if one club, 80% of those acts only, that's going to affect you if you try to work at that club. So that will happen. But I don't know, what can we do but redouble our own efforts to be our best.
Well, I was thinking about what I was thinking about this is that because of like ever since Obama shocked everyone and won the presidency,
Right.
the worm people have crawled out from under every rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with that has been this rise. There's been so many cool
An opposing
people,
force. Yes.
and so many much more. But those people, it takes longer for decent human beings to just sort of go, no, seriously.
Yes.
I don't know. There's a science fiction book that it's the guy who wrote Narnia, C.S. Lewis, his space trilogy.
Silent Planet.
Out of the Silent Planet, but the Paralandra one has this whole thing where this guy has to decide how he's going to fight the devil, because it's a not even thinly veiled Christian allegory, but it is a very beautifully written, cool action. I loved the first book a lot, and then I really loved the second book. The third book I didn't like until I read it like the third or fourth time. So I don't know why I felt the need to give you a review of that series of books.
Yeah, I don't know either, but I appreciate it, and I'm sure other people do as well. I will. There was this article on Slate about Bowen Yang, who's on SNL, and just talking about his experience as a. Where'd Jackie go?
Right here.
Okay.
For Jackie.
Right
It was talking about
emotionally.
It was talking about how he's allowed to be himself and not squashed on SNL, basically. And then they compared that experience to Terry Sweeney, who's like the first, I think, openly gay member of SNL, and how just constrained that guy was. And so yes, the rising forces that come up to oppose that kind of stuff, it's exciting, and they exist as both things are reacting to each other, and I guess it's exciting when the people that you are excited about are reacting and getting the attention, and getting the work and getting the jobs.
Well, there's just so many. It's so beautiful to watch these people who would have just been decent human beings who lived their whole lives, and you're like, they're activists, they're using their powers for good, and it's and they're super
funny.
articulate. And I wasn't talking comics, but
okay,
we could talk about comedy, which is one of the things we talk about on this show.
I have more to say.
Yeah.
No, you know what else? There was like talk about regretting jokes. So there's like the Jim Norton roast that I did a long time ago. It's up. Someone put it up. Masavia put it up. Thank God he disabled comments. And by the way, I went up like last. I had to follow a ton of people, but there was a joke. I was like, oh fuck that joke. It didn't work. And it kind of slammed some other female comics, and I winced when I heard myself going into it. I'm like, oh yeah, that one. I just kind of pretended that one went away, and now it's up, and I feel bad about it. And it wasn't a great joke. It roped in even comics that weren't there, and it was basically me just being a bitch and angry and annoyed. I mean, I still am, but I try to funnel it properly.
Right. But, you're just being an asshole because that's the format of the gig.
It is the format of the gig, but it's much more fun to be an asshole to people that are right there on the dais.
Oh yeah.
Although the
Mhm.
initial joke was aimed at somebody on the dais, I did sort of tag it with other people that weren't there, who I think now were like, "What the fuck? Why am I in
And
this
well, they should.
shitty-
And that'll be next week's
shitty-"
apology from Laurie Kilmartin.
No, that's this
Um,
week's. I doubled up, Jackie.
Oh, you doubled up. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm looking at the creek in the cave to try to figure out to put in my website when I'm in Austin and put the link up
Yeah.
for tickets.
Mhm.
And this month, Big J
Okerson.
yeah, and his headshot. I didn't see his name, and I have such a terrible eye for faces. He looked so much like Greg Giraldo that I almost burst into tears in his headshot.
Interesting.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
don't see that.
I
But
see
you know
that.
what,
Well, you
Jay
can see that
actually.
because he doesn't look like him at all, but in that
No.
headshot, he looks like Giraldo.
Huh. Okay.
I just thought of that because you're talking roasts. And, yeah.
He was a bigger guy, but I think he dropped a ton of weight. So he might be looking like Geraldo now.
Hmm.
That's cool. Oh man, he has a Patrice like ability to just sit on stage and talk.
Mhm.
And it's astonishing. Big J does.
Yep. People love him.
That's yeah. Kyle Kinane, someone in our chat, I think I posted it and then somebody else posted another one, or maybe I just posted one. He's like doing one-nighters. He's like, hey, I'm in Flagstaff. Does anyone have a garage I can work?
I have an
I
amp
love it.
and a van.
Maybe that's
Yeah.
the way to do it. Jesus Christ.
Well, what he's done is, and he works all of the chains that we don't. But
Yeah.
but the thing is he's doing the thing, because I was talking to Maria about, because when I was sulking, I was talking to many people, and so what I have to, I think, embrace is that some markets are not booking me. And so I have to embrace the insecurity of doing a door deal, of
Right.
going in and filling the room and trying to create the fan base myself, and not, sort of like I did with Zoom, except for that the thing with Zoom could happen in my garage. So I don't have to fly
Yeah.
somewhere and then be like, oh, there are 25 people here. Oh, there's 60 people here.
Right.
But so it might end up costing me money, but it will eventually work if I'm willing to put that effort into it at the age of 55. Am I? This is the question. I want to be willing. How about that?
I know.
Is that something?
Yeah. It is. It's like, really, after this many years, I have to have the same business sense as someone 5 years in. What the fuck?
Right.
But
and Kyle started doing that 20 years ago too. So he kind of likes it, I think.
Yeah, it's in a Stanhopian way. He
Yes.
likes it. But the other thing is those guys are helped by the fact that they have had specials on Netflix and stuff. So they, there will be people who saw a 10 or a 5 or a 3-year-old special that come that we don't have access to them because our stuff wasn't out like that,
Yeah. Oh yeah. And Kyle, that's a good point in the chat. It's a good point. And,
I missed it. Hold on.
Take a look at it. And then maybe we take a break.
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh, interesting.
Basically, what I was saying, because that's a lot of my audience, and a lot of the kind of younger folk now is like, nobody who listens to our comedy, our podcast, has $50 to go to a comedy club.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 2-drink minimum. It's cover charge,
So
basically.
the bar, the bar and the small clubs become kind of what everybody lives off of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and if I can just sort of make peace with something that Doug Stanhope said way back in like the 90s.
Yeah.
He was like, the way you do it, you go to a town, and if you could sell 50 tickets at $10 a ticket, you'll make $500. And he's like, and you just have to be happy with that. And then as you build, you might make more. But if you're happy with $500 a night, you win, essentially. He didn't say that, but
No, that's, and if you are a single person, that's great. as your life gets bigger, it becomes harder to be happy with traveling for $500, right?
Yep. It's
But
harder.
I don't
Especially
know,
if you got kids or any of that. Yeah.
but like in 5 years, maybe my big life will get smaller and I'll be fine with that. I won't need much more than that. I have no idea. We'll see. But
Well, for me, it's just the work. I just
Yeah.
think about the work and possibly the blow to my ego.
Right.
I'm a
true,
grown-up lady.
You are a grown-up lady, and like I was saying, how last week I consider myself a peer of other people whose careers are way better than mine. I just think, oh well, you got, you forked off this way, I forked off this way, but we started at the same time. We are probably equally good joke writers, etc. And it is hard to go, I feel like I'm on this person's level, but I'm trying to sell 50 tickets in Flagstaff, Arizona tonight.
Yeah, and you just got to make it's a daily a daily thing where I just have to make peace with the good things that are in my life, because
Right.
and there are so many. Hey, let's do this. Let's do the Max Fun break.
Okay.
Now. Okay.
And then let's do the comic of the week.
Okay.
It's who I'm working with, and we gotta love that. It's Buchele. It's Christie Buchele.
Yay.
And Christie Buchele she's been working all weekend with me here at the Denver Comedy Works South. And she's only doing 7 to 10s, but she works the road, and she's super smart and funny and silly and all the things that I love out of stand-up comedy. And did you find her Twitter, Kyle?
Yes, it is. I believe just her name. Oh, it's at CABUCHSY.
What?
Right? Hey.
Say that again so I can spell it.
At CABUCHSY.
Kabuchi? Like kabuchka? Or cab?
This conversation
Christie,
is so
what the fuck is happening? Christie Buchele, fucking find her. Her Twitter handle is ridiculous, but it will be in the notes.
Mad at her Twitter.
It sounds like it's her name. How dare you, an Armenian, go after someone else's name? Please.
People say that all the time. How dare you, an Armenian? And then you guys might not know this about the Jackie and Laurie show. But the Jackie and Laurie show is supported in part by The Rock from the Sky, a new children's book by John Klassen from Candlewick Press. John Klassen is a #1 New York Times bestselling creator with many titles and awards to his name, including a Caldecott Medal, you guys. In The Rock from the Sky, critters adorned with various hats have their favorite spot in a rather post-apocalyptic looking landscape, but they remain blissfully unaware of a large rock hurtling toward them, threatening complete oblivion. Klassen is known for his deadpan storytelling. As reviewers have commented, this is Waiting for Godot imagined for the playground population. Get The Rock from the Sky now, wherever you get books.
I wish my son was young enough to have me read that to him. I would love I would love to. I love anything hurtling towards me.
Because isn't the Earth also a rock hurtling around the sun?
I don't think it's hurtling, right? But it's traveling. Maybe is it hurtling? Hurtling implies it's out of control, right?
So here's the comedy story I heard this week. I talked to Auggie Smith.
Wow, you just ignored me. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. It's you talking about space is much like me talking about wolves.
Anyway, I was talking about word definition, but go ahead. Tell your Auggie story.
So Auggie Smith, for the last 30 years, has occasionally told people that they should fuck off and die. Sure. And get this, they've died.
Okay.
He's killed like 3 people with his mind. And he hasn't done it in 17 years. But a couple of weeks ago, he did a gig in Billings, and he there was a guy whose name, this is very weird, his name is Beard. Guess what he had? A beard.
A beard. Okay.
Yeah. And so he had to be ejected from the show. And Augie uses his power more justly. He says, "I'm surprised you're not dead." And then he riffed on that for a second, and that guy died on Monday.
How did Augie find out? Was the audience keeping track?
Billings, it turns out, super small.
Wow.
One of the other comics knew Beard and let him know. And it was on the radio that he had insulted this guy and told him that he should die, and then he died, or that he was surprised that he hadn't died.
Does he have a videotape of him saying that?
He might have it on audio. I don't know that he has video.
Because if you were to pair that with the man's obituary in the newspaper, what an amazing clip, and what a way to. Jackie, now you are going to sell more than 50 tickets per show in any city if you've got that clip. That's what I'm saying.
You know, what you're saying is the clickbait on that is going to sell some ads. That's
incredibly
put some seats. But Karen Rontowski, now is going to have him on her podcast, Paranormal Karen, to talk about this power of his, because she says it's a real power.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
A lot of things are happening. Karen Rontowski, another great comic that everyone should know.
I love Karen.
Yeah.
Great joke writer.
Amazing joke writer and really good person.
And her dry bar does really well for her. I'm excited for her. That's like, I don't think I could do dry bar. I just don't think I have enough jokes in that vein. But I'm happy when people do and make money off of it, you know. Well, maybe I'm more happy because I can't do it. I'm like, I have nothing to be jealous of. I'm like, good, make all the money. I can't get any of that.
Right. Well, and it's in the same vein of just a sort of a lateral move. Like we aren't getting the next Netflix specials, but Dry Bar was like, do you want a Dry Bar special? And the back end of that is very lucrative, which is, you know, you still get to do stand up and you get to make money, which is key to living indoors.
Sure. I do think it takes a while to get to Rontowski's level, you know?
Right, but Tommy Ryman's is really big too. So I think it might take a year or two to really sort of rev it up. Right. And they might be slowing down, or they might be doubling up. Like I think
wait, which is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about it. All I know is they asked me to do it initially, like way at the very beginning. And I don't think I could. I think I was on the track to turn Horcrux into a special that I had somehow higher hopes for. But Horcrux as a dry bar would have done very well, quite honestly. I don't think Hero could have been a dry bar.
But you could. But you couldn't. You re-record it for a dry bar? I think you could. I think it's like Comics Unleashed, where they don't care. They just want, you know, they want a chunk of material that's already worked, that's clean on that format. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Think about it.
I feel like to some extent I feel slightly overwhelmed at how much the world is sped up again.
I know.
That I'm just trying to kind of catch up and try to get back into the groove of 2019. Right. And then sort of expand from that. But I would also like I wrote that comic book script. I would like to try to write another comic book script, and I'd like to try to write some stuff and not forget that I wanted to write some stuff, you know?
Right. One thing I did this week is I finished one novel. I read another one in 3 days. Like I just read. Usually I just read at night after my son falls asleep. And then I have like 5 minutes before I fall asleep. It just puts me out. And I've been just reading because I got nothing else to do, and telling myself, you don't have to do anything. You could just sit and read. And that's been great. It's just great to get your head out of your own shit. And then I had my long dormant novel. I got a vibrator, and then then that gave me some ideas, that experience with the vibrator, and then I started writing again.
Well, you know, to quote Jackie Fabulous, There's nothing more inspirational than rubbing one out. Um, but I will say that
Yes. I don't have a husband like you at my whim, at my, anytime I need it, I can grab him and stick him in me, Jackie. All right. We're not all that.
The way you've really summed up my marriage really makes it feel super romantic and really beautiful. I have to say that that I want I wish I were reading more lately. I've stopped reading romance novels for the first time in like 5 years. I'm just I'm just taking a break like you do. And I have a stack of other books to read. I have some nonfiction that I've been trying to get through. And I brought it with me. Is that enough? That's not enough. And I read like 6 comic books today, but just trying to catch up on the Captain Marvel story and the Runaways. Anyway, but it doesn't. Oh, and I did read those 2 manga books that I gave your son.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. By the way, we have one more, and then it's your turn to buy the next 7.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Because we want to read them more.
Okay, no problem. Just give me a link. I don't know what they are, and I'll get them.
Okay.
By the way, he graduated from 8th grade yesterday.
Congratulations to him.
And yeah,
how did he do? How did he do?
He thought the whole thing was lame, and he wanted to skip it, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And it was me, his dad, and the babysitter, or Claire was there, and it was cool. He had a little cheering section. Then we took pictures, and he posed for a picture and smiled like a full person instead of doing
like an adult human. Yeah, I saw
face.
that picture.
Yeah,
it's a really great picture of him.
Oh my god! So I was just dying. It was and I finally, they just took their 8th grade pictures for the school year like 3 weeks ago. So I finally saw a copy because they printed it out, and so handsome. I mean, I know everyone says this about their kids, so you can't trust me, but oh my god, I was dying. I was like, it is so, I was not going to have a kid. This was a total accident, as I tell them all the time. And the fact that this total accident is so awesome and handsome, I just can't believe it. What a surprise. What an unexpected, delightful surprise.
He was incredibly nice and very helpful on the day of the show as well.
Oh, he was?
Yeah. He was, he did, you put him to task and he would do the tasks, and there was no grump about it. He was like, okay, all right. And then he would, so he is, nice work, Laurie Kilmartin. He's growing up to be a nice young man.
Yeah, I'm hoping like having these little pool parties will get him to see that he could do that same thing. I don't want to have another generation of shut-ins. It's time. Like we all saw my mom for the last 4 years of her life, just in the other half of this room I'm in right now, watching Outlander and not venturing out. And I don't want to end up like that, and I don't want to keep going like that. And I want him to be able to be social and feel comfortable, going, hey, come on over,
I love it. Hey, let's take another Max Fun break if we could.
Okay.
And speaking of taking a break, Kyle, where are we at?
We are at 48.
All right.
Not bad.
All right.
I've been listening to some really dumb comedy podcasts, just because sometimes part of me misses hearing dumb guys and dumb comics talking about their dumb theories in green rooms. And so I was listening. There's a guy I like that I disagree with about 80% of the time, but I just like him, and he's a New York comic, and he has a podcast. And I was rolling my eyes and still enjoying that green room feeling of these people are morons, but I love them, and they're funny on stage.
Okay. Yeah, there's been a lot of it's good green room hang. The staff is really, really happy here,
Oh yeah.
It's sort of skeleton staff. They're not going to open the downtown Comedy Works until August. And the first comic up in the downtown room is Mark Maron. So
Wow.
that should be super
Cool.
fun.
Yeah.
And but they're just, when you go into a club and the staff is just cheerful,
Mhm.
they're not downtrodden, they're not skittish, they don't look like
Right.
dogs that have been beaten.
Yeah.
And which here, let me put in the chat the last club I was in that had that vibe.
Right. Hold on. Let me see if I.
Ooh,
I spelled it wrong.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I think I've eaten that before.
There you go.
Oh, okay. All
I've
right.
still spelled it wrong, but you have a better chance.
I got it.
You got it. But it
I
was
never worked. I don't
literally,
think I've worked that room.
yeah, you're not missing anything.
I'd
It's
like to know myself, as always, for every
As
how
always.
possibly, I'll make my own decisions.
You'll make your own
What's that
decision.
booker's number?
Right. Yeah, it's got all kinds of trouble, that club. But you'll notice that I'm not saying it out loud how much trouble it's got, because I am willing to work it again.
Of course.
What happened right there? I was like, oh, you're not missing anything, but don't say it out loud, Jackie, because what if he calls you? And you're like, all right, it's a weird, not positive experience that I wish to experience again. It does have the advantage of being somewhere near my home, right? Where my dad, my brothers are. So my nephew, one of my nephews graduated from college this last weekend. He graduated
Oh
from
wow.
Buchele. And they had an outdoor graduation ceremony, and he wore a gown and he looked super happy. And um, weirdly enough, he's going to Jerusalem this summer, I think.
Oh.
For they're big in the Armenian church, that brother and my nephews.
Yeah.
And so he's studying to be a deacon, and so he's going to go to
Really?
Jerusalem. Yeah, they both are.
So is that the Armenian Orthodox, or what church is that?
It's an Orthodox. It's apostolic, actually, the Armenian Apostolic Church. I don't know enough about it. Darla used to work for the diocese in New York.
It's
And
Catholic or not Catholic?
no, it's not Catholic.
Okay.
Small C or big C?
Big C.
No,
Roman.
it is not. It is not. It is not Catholic. No, it's its own church. We separated from the Catholic Church. I say this, I believe I'm wrong, but it's a fun story. So here we go. I believe we separated from the Catholic Church in 306 AD. There was a meeting in Paris. We didn't make it. We were being the Persians were trying to kill us. And
yeah,
so
always with an excuse, you guys. Always with your excuses. The Persians, the Turks. Okay, Jackie.
Well, it's such a good idea to choose to be a different religion when you're surrounded by another religion. And so yeah, we used to worship a sun god. I was like, why don't we all just keep doing that?
Hey,
But
the Irish and the Druids, I mean, those were good days, before they figured out men had something to do with childbirth. Before they figured out sperm, women were living large, because we were these things that could spontaneously create new life, and they didn't know how, and they loved us. And then they figured out they were half of it, and then capitalism started.
wow,
I mean, I'm
that is a
skipping a few
summation
steps.
that can't possibly be true.
I'm skipping
I'm
a
gonna need
few
a
steps.
source. It has a little bit of the vibe of the world. Everyone thought the world was flat until Columbus, when if you actually look at all the writings, there was not a sailor in the world who thought the world was flat. They were just like, it's just, you get to the middle of a very large, and there's not enough water and there's no food and you die. So it's not flat, but it doesn't make any sense to try to get across it.
So Jackie, you're telling me that you read Christopher Columbus era writings by other sailors on the Earth's circumference. You're telling me that you do that in your spare time?
I have not read the original source material. You're correct. What I have read is there was some small some stuff written in Latin, and then there's, of course, there's always historical fiction that references a lot of the sort of the Arab thinkers of what was the European Dark Ages, and those guys were a pile of smarty magoos that the Christians decided to burn to the ground in the Crusades. These, you know what's happening? A lot of loose history this episode.
Maybe
This episode's got,
that's how we make our money. Loose history, right? You think these comics doing history podcasts do anything but read Wikipedia? They fucking don't. What if we do one where we don't even read Wikipedia?
we just did. We just spent 10 minutes talking about things that we don't have enough information about. But
Can't wait to check our coffers after this one, because clearly they're going to be donating lots of money to us.
It's a new Patreon push, you guys. This is why you tune in.
Listen, people that lived LA-based podcast supporters, Max Fun and others, got a little reward. You know, I know we don't offer a lot that much, but you did get a little reward. They were able to see a private show headlining with Maria Bamford headlining for $0.
Right.
It was nice. So we thank you, supporters, and you deadbeats. I don't know how you live with yourselves. I honestly don't. You take and take and take.
I'm looking at, I don't have any sets this coming week. Do you have any sets? Do you have any shows?
I do. I'm doing a live show at Flappers on the 2nd or the 3rd. It's that one at Wednesday.
Wednesday.
It's the part of their soft reopening. So that's exciting. And then I have little showlets here and there, I think. But
I got nothing.
It's a slow reopen here.
Yeah. and then next weekend I'm gonna go look at Big Sur.
Cool. Hey, in the weekend after the July 9th and 10th, I'm at Stir Crazy
there you go.
In the Phoenix area. So come out to that. Those will be safe shows. And in
I'm headlining Flappers July 9th and 10th.
Oh, cool. July 16th and 17th, our birthday weekend, I'm going to be at the Alameda Comedy Club.
That's the week I'm recording my album at Acme in Minneapolis. 16th and 17th.
That's the weekend you tried to take from me several times on this podcast. Unsuccessfully, I might note.
I was going to ask for the Stir Crazy dates, but then realized that I'm already working at Flappers.
Oh my God. You're brazen. It's unbelievable.
I know. I'm hoping to pick up the 2nd and 3rd at a theater in Portland.
Oh,
and
cool.
And then just do a couple of shows and then get to go to Powell's. You know, I just, because Powell's didn't go under.
June 2nd or 3rd or July 2nd or 3rd?
July 2nd.
Oh.
Yeah. So, June, like literally, oh, wait.
Why don't you know what? I'm not working that weekend.
Oh, you want to come with me?
Maybe we do a live J&L in Portland at the last minute. I don't know. Just throwing it out there.
If you're willing to do the short set so I can run my hour.
Yeah, of course.
All right. But June 18th and 17, 18, and 19, I'm in Austin doing shows. Austin, Texas.
That's so sweet. I haven't, I have a weekend at Laughs in August. And then I'm still waiting to see what my schedule is this summer, if I'm scheduled or anything. So I need to ask about that, because I would like to be doing these little Friday, Saturdays, if I could, just to get out. But it's weird. It's I've enjoyed this year of hanging out with my son. It's been pretty awesome, Yeah.
It's been a hard year, but it's also been a gift to hang out with the people we love.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Kyle, can we end on that
adorable,
adorable, freakly.
All right, we got a minute and a half left.
Come on. I'm trying to figure out. Jackie. I'll put this out here.
I broke her.
There's my neighbor. I'm not, and I don't know that he's looking, but his window looks directly into my room now, and I need some foliage. I need about 15 feet green to block him. And so I've been trying to figure that out. And it needs to go in a pot. It can't, you know, because it's got to go on concrete. So I'm trying to figure out what to do about that.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you know that neighbor?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
all right. Just curious. I was for the fan fiction. I don't know. I'm just
What?
wondering.
Yeah.
And
Jackie, I just like you know, there's nothing to watch in this room, but I like the idea that no one can
you
hear
can't.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. You like the idea of some privacy. I
Yes.
don't think you're standing up for something that you should not get.
Thank
You
you.
should definitely have a little bit of privacy in your bedroom.
Yeah.
So
That's all.
Yes.
So I'm trying to solve that problem.